बैठ जा आराम से लाइव सेशन हो रहा है लाइव सेशन हाय बोल दे सबको हाय Chesper, say hi to everyone. No. Oh, he's feeling shy. Oh. Hi. Okay, so all of you people, this is another dog. The one that was here last time is out on the streets. This is the one who stays at home most of the times. And they both have like a tussle. They both don't like each other. So as soon as he leaves, this one takes the position. I have 6 rescue dogs with me, which they have actually rescued me. I didn't rescue them, they rescued me. So I am the rescued person. I've been rescued by 6 dogs who live with me. And we have 150 plus street animals by God's grace, by Shiva's grace. So Har Har Mahadev, Bam Bam Bhole, Om Namah Shivaya. I would like to welcome all of the people. Slim Jim, you were in the past live session also, right? गर्मी लगी है चेस्पर चेसू okay he is probably so yeah some of you were present in the previous session also and I had taken a break in between because I was talking for 2.5 hours. I wanted to take a water break. I wanted to just walk around a bit. Today is Mahashivratri night. For those of you who are joining in right now in this session, tonight is the Mahashivratri night. It is a very blessed night. It is a very high vibrational night. So it is said that if you keep your spine straight, it is night time in India, but it must be daytime in some other places or evening time in some other places. So if you keep your spine straight for next couple of hours, it will be extremely beneficial for all of you, whosoever does it. Okay, so now please send me a hi or send me a message if you are coming back from the previous session. If you have just joined, yes, it's a wonderful live session, 1:45 p.m. in Louisiana, so it's daytime for you. Who are the people who came back from the previous session? Before I took the break, there were some people on the session present over there. They were listening to the story, the love story of Shiva and Parvati. And we took a break in between when Shiva had cut off, he had decapitated Daksha Prajapati, because that also is sort of a long story and I have to divide it. I had to take some break in between, so I had gone to take a break. Now I'm back. I just want to know who all were present at that time and I will continue again. Let me say hi to all of those who are here. We have the real Empress Lori B. Hi. Then we have Slim Jim. We have Love Light and Lunacy. Erica. Nice ID. Interesting ID. We have Ashwini Gautam. And Ashwini Gautam was present, but Ashwini came in really late. You came in just before I took the break. So I will continue from where I left, because these videos, the live sessions, would be watched by people later on also. And there are some subscribers who would watch it once it is posted. They may not be here, or some of them would come back in a bit. So I'm going to start. I want to show you guys this interesting picture. This is a very interesting picture. This is the picture of Shiva after he has forgiven Daksha Prajapati. So if you can notice that Daksha Prajapati is in a mutation form. Nowadays, you guys must be watching a lot of Marvel movies where they are showing the mutation animal, and some of the superhero characters are inspired by that. Although they have not used the animals, because these people, the current generation, they don't want to show animal in a bigger light, so they're using some other powers. But technically, in the Indian Puranas, the stories, most of the people had these mutations. Lord Hanuman is half animal, half human, and Ganesha is also half human and half animal. So he's half elephant and half human. So Daksha Prajapati was also one of those people, but he was not like this. Earlier he was a human being and he was a king, but he was a very arrogant king. Hi Soumya. He was a very arrogant king. Soumya, were you there in the previous session, in the previous narration? Please let me know. So those who were in the previous session, you guys have heard the story till this point. Now I'm going to move on from here. But I will also explain in detail how Daksha Prajapati was decapitated. Okay. So now, before I do this, I'm going to open up Wikipedia, and I request all of you also to go to Wikipedia, type Wikipedia if you can. If you cannot, you can just continue to be with me and I will be the one narrating everything, because there is a very interesting page on Wikipedia. You can even read it later on. It's called Daksha Yajna. Daksha Yajna. The spelling is DAKSHAYJNA. On Wikipedia, this page exists, and in this page the whole story is mentioned. Okay, but obviously when someone narrates it, it's much more enjoyable, and even on the phone you can just play it and you can do your other work, or you can just clean up your house sometimes and you can just keep watching the video also side by side. It's more easier than reading, but I'm going to be using it as a background so that I just don't miss anything. And if possible, if someone wants to read it, you can read it. If you want, I can even put the link over there. So it is a very important part of the epic and the story of Shiva and Parvati and Hindu mythology. I don't like to use the word mythology, because the word mythology is seen everywhere. Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, Hindu mythology, Red Indian mythology, Native American mythology. So this word mythology has been given to the whole world's, basically all the stories, all the god stories, god and goddesses stories, they have labeled it as mythology. Who has labeled it? The English people, the ones who had colonized so many countries, because they wanted us to read only their history and only read about their inventions and their people. Whereas if you look at all the indigenous people who have dwelled on this earth for thousands of years, for millions of years, they were much more in contact with nature, and they used to live with nature. They were living in an interdependent, interconnected society. They were not destroying or destructing natural resources, or neither did they consider themselves to be superior race, calling themselves superior and above others and causing destruction and using everything, or just labeling them as low. That is not how indigenous people lived. And British people have this interesting word for them, which is Indian. So the term India was given to our country's name is actually Bharat. Bharat is the actual name of our country, which comes from Bharat Vansh. So Bharat is like the old name. And the races that lived here were Dravidians and Aryans predominated this particular subcontinent. So when they came here, they saw that a lot of people are indigenous. The same thing they saw in America, and they used to call them red Indians because of the skin of those people. They were so fair that if they would roam around in the sun, the skin color would turn red, not remain fair complexion but red due to the sun and due to the environment, due to the natural conditions over there. In India, the skin color was slightly darker. So they felt that, this part of the world is full of these indigenous people. So let's name this country India. That's how the name India came into be. But actually, wherever there are indigenous people, Indians are everywhere all over the world. These are the people who lived, generation upon generation. Their ancestors, they all lived, in this indigenous setup. That is number one point. And number 2 point, mythology. So wherever these people colonized human beings, or they created their own sort of slave units, because we were actually their slaves, okay? And even the word sir actually means slave I remain. So when we say sir and madam, it actually means that we are remaining a slave to them. So this is what I found out somewhere. It was quite interesting, so I'm sharing it with you all. So they would term everything as falsehood. So the word mythology comes from the Sanskrit word mithya. Mithya, myth. So myth is created from mithya, and mithya means falsehood. So they used our own word mithya from Sanskrit language and used it to make a new word in English, mythology or mythology. Okay, so everything that comes from our history is mythology. Everything that Greek people said is their story, from their stories it is mythology. And if you listen to a lot of the stories from the Greek mythology, or from the Indian mythology, or from the Native American mythology, you will see there are many similarities in certain characters. That is because our forefathers, all of the forefathers were the same. And the religions that are predominating this world right now, they're all very new religions. Very, very new. Maximum 500, 600 years old, Otherwise, they are all like newly developed. And they were newly developed also because of the need of the hour. Just for, क्या हो रहा है? सो जाओ, नूनू करो, ठीक है? नूनू करो. Just for, ओके, गिव मी अ हैंड. नहीं, ठीक है, सो जाओ. So they are newly developed because of the type of people that live here now. It is easier to tell them this story, that story. And I'm not against any religion, because I've studied the origin of many religions. The masters never wanted the religions to be created, but it was the people who created the name. Like Buddha never wanted a Buddhism. Guru Nanak Dev Ji never wanted a separate Sikhism religion, because all of his books, even he talks a lot about Ram Nam chant. There are so many texts and documents, especially Japji Sahib part, where he has mentioned that everybody should wake up at Brahma Muhurat and chant this sound, Ram sound. So there are various treasures, and even the word Sikhism comes from the word Sikh. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, whenever a student used to come to him in Hindi language or in Punjabi language also, from Devanagari script, Sikh means to learn. So whenever someone used to come to him, he used to call him Sikhi. Sikh. He has come to learn. But later on, a proper organized religion was formed out of it. So there is nothing right or there is nothing wrong, but what I don't like is the word mythology is used. It is literally making everybody's else's indigenous cultures and stories and folklore, or even lore for that matter, which may be coming from the divine, from divinity, to be complete falsehood. and their own stories, which are just 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 years old, to be absolute truth, which it is not possible. The sun is so old, the moon is so old, the earth is so old. So how can our history be just 500 or 1000 years old? It has to be pretty old. It has to be extremely like going back in time, you know. How many languages can dogs understand? I think dogs understand only one language, which is the language of love. So you can speak any three-dimensional language, but they will understand because you're talking to them lovingly, so they understand anything and everything. Anyway, so yes, Wikipedia has this interesting page called Daksha Yajna, and we will take it as our background just to pick up some pointers. I don't want to miss out on anything. It's already 1:30 in the night here. So basically, this particular part or this particular story is mentioned in many Puranas. Puranas are like the divisions, you can say, in terms of names, because there are different gods which are given importance in every Purana. So there is Vishnu Puran, there is Shiv Puran, there is Vayu Puran, there is Skanda Puran, there is Kurma Puran, there is Hari Vamsa Puran, there's Padma Puran, Linga Puran, Matsya Puran. So there are different Puranas, and this story is shared in most of them. Okay. Actually, it is mainly told in Vayu Puran and also in Shiv Puran, but there are mentions, different Puranas have little bit of mention over it. So Daksha was one of the Prajapati, son of Brahma, and he was amongst one of his initial creations. Daksha married Manu's daughter Prasuti. So Manu was one of the initial human beings who ran the whole system, everything on this planet, and Daksha married his daughter Prasuti, and his daughter was Sati, and also known as Oma. And she was the youngest daughter of Daksh Prajapati and also his favorite. So imagine if he could do this to his favorite daughter, what could he do for his ego massage? What all? Now, Sati was deeply in love with Shiva, and she always wanted to be his wife. Because of her worship and her devotion, Shiva also wanted to be with her. Shiva felt connection with her. But Daksh did not like Shiva because of the way Shiva lived, and he felt that my daughter is a royal princess, so I am not going to give my daughter to this man. However, you know, being modest, being humble, being simple, his purity was extremely attractive for Sati. So nobody could, stop them from getting married. But Daksha Prajapati called Shiva to be a downtrodden man who wore tiger skin, smeared ashes on his body. He had thick locks of matted hair, which we call dreadlocks in today's world. Okay, and he lived in the Mount Kailash, which is in the Himalayas. So he lived with all of the living beings. He was also called king of all bhutas, which means even the ghost, even the people who are earthbound, they used to also worship Shiva because of how Shiva was. And let me tell you, even the demons worshipped Shiva. The asuras, whenever they wanted some boon or they wanted something to grow for them in life, the progress in their materialistic world, they would always please Shiva. My hair had become matted hair in July to October 2022. Okay, so do you still have matted hair or you removed it? So, because Shiva embraced all beings, he did not have any discrimination, be it animals, be it humans, be it asuras, be it the ghost, be it anyone. He would embrace everyone. The Bhoot Ganas were also his followers, which consisted of ghosts, demons, ghouls, and goblins. And he wandered through gardens and graveyards alike. So, as a consequence, Daksh had an aversion towards Shiva being his daughter's companion. Now all of this I have already explained, so I'm gonna jump straight away into the ceremony and the aftermath of the ceremony. So basically Daksha Prajapati's grudge towards Shiva was too much. Okay, so he was extremely stupid according to me, and he just wanted to make Shiva feel bad. And during the ceremony, so in Hindus, in Sanatan Dharam ceremonies, what happens is that there are various hymns and there are various shlokas, and they're dedicated to different gods. So Vishnu has some shlokas, Brahma has some shlokas. Sorry, I'm not leaving. Lori B, I will be your ultimate distraction. Get over yourself. What is this? I'll read that comment later, okay? So various hymns are being sung, or they are shlokas are being said for different gods. So Daksha Prajapati purposely, ma'am, please tell us what Parvati Mata did to get Mahadev. We'll come to that. Once the Sati chapter is over, next is Parvati's story. In fact, we started from Parvati, but in the first session, there were so many other questions about the twin flame journey or related to the twin flame topics that the first session, which is 2.5 hours long, which you can listen to tomorrow or whenever you get time. But in this session, I will try to cover all of this only, this story only, nothing else. Yeah, so these hymns were being chanted, but there is a person called Dadichi. Dadichi had a big argument with Daksha Prajapati, and he said that you cannot, there is a certain place or there is a certain ceremonial aspect which is only meant for Shiva. In most of the ceremonies, we worship Shiva. Shiva is always worshipped. So Daksha Prajapati was not doing that. So Dadichi was very angry, and he warned Daksha Prajapati that if he is going to alter what is written in Vedas for his personal reasons or for his ego satisfaction, then he would get punished. For sure, he would get punished. And because of this, because Daksha Prajapati was not listening to anyone, the Dadichi left the yajna. He left the ceremony. He warned Daksha Prajapati and then he left. Is everyone able to hear me properly? Please tell me if my voice is clear, if I am audible, if I am clear. Please let me know, guys. I need this answer. Okay, thank you. So now, as some of you have been listening to the story in the previous session, but I will, for the comfort of the new people who have just joined. Okay, great. Thank you, Neelam. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being such lovely audience and taking so much interest in the love story of Cardinal Twin Flame Gurus, Shiva and Parvati, who were present in the descending golden age, the descending golden yuga. Okay, so you guys have heard that Sati still went to the ceremony, even though Shiva was not happy with that idea, he was not happy with that decision, but she still went. And after she reached there, she found out about the grand yajna. She's looking at everything, she's looking at everyone who was present over there, and it really hurt her. And not only that, he started maligning Daksha Prajapati, her father, started maligning Shiva, and other people had also accompanied Parvati. Parvati did not go alone. Nandi was also there. Nandi was present with the Bhoot Ganas, but he did not enter really. He was just sort of taking care of everything. He was not inside the ceremony. He was somewhere around. Okay. So Sati tried to meet the family members, the sisters, the father and everyone. But Daksh was very arrogant. He was very mean. He was very rude. He was sort of ignoring her. He was ill-treating her, and she did not like that. Time and again, he did that. First, she maintained her composure. She was like, fine, maybe my father is angry because I got married to someone he did not like. It was sort of a love marriage in today's time. We would say that, like, they liked each other and Shiva wanted to marry her too. But Daksha Prajapati was constantly creating a melodramatic scene, or he was not happy. He was not like very supportive. So Sati knew that, and she thought that, okay, maybe my father is a little bit angry. He would be, fine soon, or he would be okay after a while. But it became bitter. Okay, it became bitter because now Daksha reacted in such a way that he purposely insulted her in front of all the other guests at the ceremony. And this is his favorite child. This is what narcissistic people do. The child has to be like them. The child has to follow them. The child has to be like a slave for them. Only then they are happy with the child. If the child wants to do something which they, believe in, like marrying someone Sati loved, father is not happy because he's a hardcore narcissist. So he insulted her. He called Shiva an atheist, and he said that he lives in the cremation ground, he lives with the dead people, he lives in the Shamshan, and he took complete advantage of the situation. And after hearing all of this, Sati could not take it anymore. She felt deep remorse for not listening to her beloved husband, who had primarily asked her not to go to this ceremony. And because of this disdain that Daksha had shown towards her in front of so many guests, in front of so many people, Sati, due to this humiliation, created a holy fire and jumped into it. She burned herself, or she sort of took her own life because she could not take it anymore. Before doing so, she cursed Daksh for acting so atrociously towards her and Shiva, and reminded him that his haughty behavior has blinded his intellect. She cursed him and warned that the wrath of Shiva would destroy him and his whole kingdom. Unable to bear further humiliation, Sati took her own life by jumping into the sacrificial fire. Other versions of the legend state that Sati, losing all control over her anger, takes upon the form of Adi Shakti or Durga and curses Daksha to fall to ruin. She immolates her body using her own energy and returns to Sarvalok. Sarvalok is the highest loka, where everybody goes, like all higher beings go there, and it is a form of singularity. Okay, yes, it is a very sad story. The first half, or the first part of the story, is very sad. And this is what I was telling the twin flamers, the ascensioners, the light workers, the star seeds, that you guys are sad about separation, which is happening for like 5, 6, 7 years, or for some people it is 10 years or a little bit more. But here the separation is for thousands of years, because they lived so long. The people back in those days, they never died, they never had any diseases, they did not age that fast, so they lived very long. So the separation went on for many, many years for Shiva after Sati left the body. Okay, so she goes to Sarvalok, and only the half burnt body of Sati was retrieved, and Nandi, who was somewhere around with the Bhutganas, was very angry, and he also cursed the participants. They all, tried to, there was a whole fight basically. Everybody was fighting. Now Shiva heard all this. Shiva found out about this story. Like, this has happened. My wife has died and she's killed herself because of Daksha Prajapati. So he got extremely angry. When Shiva is very angry, sometimes he comes into forms, or out of his anger, sometimes out of his tears or out of his angers, certain beings are created, which are usually his form only, but they are created, or they take birth for a certain action or a certain task. In this case, two forms of very frightening armed forms, fearsome beings, were emerged, and they were Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali. Okay, Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali were like huge, sort of so-called monstrous people, but they were actually divine. And Shiva orders them to kill Daksha Prajapati and destroy the yajna. So Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali, along with all the ghouls and demons and goblins, they all go to the yajna site and they destroy the yajna. Okay, all of this Daksha Prajapati knew. He knew something like this would happen, but he risked it only for his ego massage. Same thing was done by Ravan. Ravan knew if he is going to kidnap Shri Ram's wife, he will destroy everything. He will destroy him. But because his ego was so big and his illusion about his own self was so big, that he did not shy away from doing that. And he still went ahead and took that stupid decision, that step that led to his ruin also. So here Brigu's army was demolished. Brigu was another person. He was a sage. He was trying to protect the yajna. He was trying to protect the people over there. It was also a sort of divine penance. So he resisted Shiva's attack, but his whole army was demolished, the premises was ravaged, and all those who participated were mercilessly beaten, wounded, or even slaughtered. And I don't know why, but I was okay with it, because when I heard it or saw the story as a child also, because see, there has to be some loyalty towards your gods and goddesses. If everybody knows that Shiva is Devoke Dev, Mahadev, the highest, then why would other deities comply so much with Daksha Prajapati? They should have also not gone. Okay, with Brahma, Vishnu, they were there because they were, like Daksha Prajapati was related to Brahma. But a lot of people, I think they should not have gone. Okay, because Shiva is getting insulted and humiliated, they should have also not been there. But this is what is three-dimensional earth, and maybe in the descending golden age certain flaws like this also appear. People were so enamored and so awestruck by the party or by the ceremony. Why would I say ceremony? Party? I don't know which word I mixed. Ceremony. People were so enamored by the ceremony, and it shows people's fascination for 3D things, for materialistic things, that they all went for it. All of them attended it. All of them joined it without thinking that Sati is not getting invited or Shiva is not getting invited. Even when Dadichi was warning Daksh Prajapati, nobody else walked away. Only Datiji walked away. Everybody else just sat there. So I think later on, when they all got beaten up or wounded by the Bhutganas, by Shiva's people, it was probably okay, according to me. They did not show loyalty, and they were more into the 3D thing. So what can you do? Now, anyway, a lot of things had happened. As per the Vayu Puran, the nose of some goddesses were cut. Yamraj, who's the god of death, the angel of death, his staff was broken. Mitra's eyes were pulled out. Indra was trampled by Veerbhadra and Bhutganas. Pushan's teeth were not knocked out. Chandra was beaten heavily. All of the Prajapatis were beaten, and the hands of Vahini were cut off, and Brigu's beard was cut off. This is as per Vayu Puran, but different Puranas have different types of slightly different versions. So there are different accounts, but overall, you would say that there was major destruction after that. Shiva was extremely angry. Finally, these two people, the Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali, their job was to kill, destroy this man. So they did that. Okay. And then after their job was done, Daksha Prajapati was decapitated. They came back and they merged into Shiva again. Okay. So later on, everything is destructed. Brahma is very sad because after all, Daksha Prajapati is his son and Sati was his granddaughter. He was not expecting all of this to happen. And plus, what is not mentioned over here is that this is the time when Shiva was so angry that he carries the body of his wife, half burnt body, and he's so devastated that he roams in the whole cosmos from one corner to another, because he just wants her to be revived. So he's just crying, he's dancing, like he's doing that angry dance which is called Tandav, and he is no longer in touch with anything. He just is so upset with the way things happened over there in that ceremony. So finally, he goes into isolation and he wanders around the whole world. But it is actually Vishnu. What Vishnu does is, because Shiva is not coming back into his senses, okay? So Vishnu, with his plants like Shiva should come out. He should be detached, and he should not, like stay in that isolation in that zone. So he takes an arrow and he strikes it at the dead body of Sati. Okay, and the body it falls down in different places. So it is said that in India there are Shakti Peethas like Shakti Peeth, actually in English it is called Peethas. It is said that these are the places in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. And these are the places, because of these Shakti Peeths, this country has become so high vibrational. Be it Nepal, because see, everything is Indian subcontinent. Now we see division, now the partition has happened, now it has become Bangladesh or this country or that country. Even Sri Lanka was a part of India. After Ramayana, when Lord Sri Ram wins, he says to Vibhishan that you take care of this land. Technically, it was Sri Ram only who was the king, because after Ravan is defeated, who is going to be the king? Sri Ram. But he was not like that. He was not the one who cared about land and possession and this and that. So he said, Vibhishan, you handle Lanka. Lanka is yours now. And Vibhishan is happy because Lanka is purified and everything is much more sorted. And he also was a Ram Bhakta. He was a Ram devotee, Lord Sri Ram's devotee. Okay, so he is also okay with it, and he says, "Fine, I'll take care of Lanka." So technically, Lanka was still under Sri Ram's rule. Okay, then Bangladesh recently got partitioned, and Pakistan also right after Indian independence. Before that, it was all same, and Nepal also long time back it was same, because that time Nepal, in the time of Sri Ram and Sita, Nepal's king was Raja Janak. Okay, it all fell into the same continent, but Raja Janak's daughter is Sita, and Prince Ram, at that time he was prince, is the prince of Ayodhya. So they were also sort of together. Okay, even though Janak was the king, Sita's father was the king, but because Ram married Sita, so it was sort of a same, it was also under his rule only, but he was also like, yeah, you father-in-law, you rule it, you manage it, I'm okay with it. So every single country, wherever these body parts of Sati fell down, wherever those places became so high vibrational that they began to be called Shakti Peet. Shakti means energy and Peet means location. And these are actually the parts of her corpse, okay, half burnt corpse. Personally, I have visited some places in Nepal, okay, where this Shakti Pita is present. So anyway, coming back to the point where this whole thing happens, where Daksha Prajapati is given a goat head. So I really enjoy Shiv Puran because the stories are so interesting, and especially the science is so interesting. Like imagine giving someone a goat's head and creating a person or making a person turn into a mutated being just to save their life. How that happens, we'll come to that. Okay, so far we have heard and we have seen what happens with Shiva. Okay, after he's sad, Sati is gone, all of that. So you guys can read this chapter on Wikipedia. It is called Daksha Yajna. Okay, I've just picked up points from it because I thought of it earlier only. Let me show you that interesting picture for all the people who have just joined or who have joined later on. So this is what happens to Daksha Prajapati. This is the goat's head. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just actually, this is my smile. Okay. So as long as Daksha Prajapati was arrogant, he was probably killed. Because Shiva always forgives everyone and Daksha Prajapati is no exception, Shiva in his Veerbhadra form destroys the yajna, okay, and then beheads Daksha Prajapati only to curb his arrogance. Later, Shiva breathes life back into Daksha, and since his head has turned into ashes in the yajna fire, Shiva granted a goat's head to Daksha Prajapati. Shiva never has any grudge towards anyone since he is not a mortal like us to have hatred. So he forgives anyone, being the Jagat Pita, father of the whole entire universe. At times, as a strict father, he punishes his children only to put them back in track of dharma. When he sees that his children have repented and realized their mistakes, he embraces them back as he can't stay far away from his children for a long time. So I want to mention this thing. I want to clarify this thing that 2 points came to my mind as downloads. Number one is Shiva is an animal lover, okay, and this happened 2 times in his life. Once when he cuts Daksha Prajapati's head, and second time when he cuts Ganesha's head. Ganesha is his son and Daksha Prajapati is his father-in-law, and both these people are closely related to him. The first situation with Daksha Prajapati, a lot of people would agree it was well deserved. But in the second situation with Ganesha, Shiva really did not know that's his son. Because Parvati created him out of clay. Okay. So when Parvati had gone to take a bath, she had asked Ganesh to stand at the door. And Shiva came back from his hermitage, from his tapasya, and suddenly saw this young boy sitting over there who's not allowing the entrance to even him. So there was a big war that wages, and because the boy, they maybe also thought that this is not actually a boy. It could be some other creature whose appearance is like a boy. So after a huge war, because Ganesh was so powerful, so powerful that some of them, so many divine beings actually thought that this is not possible for a small boy of his age to be so smart, so good with warfare. How is this possible? Eventually, because of Ganesha's behavior, even Ganesha was not willing to explain it to anyone. Shiva cuts his head. Now, according to my observation or whatever I feel intuitively, I think that whenever Shiva gets an opportunity to put a head on someone, he would always use animal companions. I don't know why. I feel because he's so much in love with the animals. And I say, I don't know why. It doesn't mean that I don't know why Shiva is doing it. It means like how I get these downloads and get these messages. This is like a automatic, natural process. I don't have to read a book or go to some place for it. Certain things are intuitively received by us. So intuitively, I felt that because he's an animal lover, like most people would say, oh, don't put an animal head on this person. Oh, it will not look good. But imagine somebody who loves animals. If you love goats, cats, monkeys, dogs, or whatever your favorite, elephants, wouldn't you want your person to be slightly animalistic or have some kind of animal presence? Same thing happened with Ganesha and Daksha Prajapati. So there are some interesting points that are mentioned by people over here, which I would like to read for you all. I found this very nice question which says, why did Prajapati Daksh hate Lord Shiva? Now I want to talk about this because there is extreme materialism on the planet right now, and you must have noticed that a lot of people hate others who are not very rich, who don't have so much money. Like I was somewhere in some fancy place the other day, and even in fancy places you have certain products which are affordable for poor people, right? So this poor lady entered, and you could look at her body language, her clothes, and you could know that she is not from a well-to-do family. So as soon as she entered the shop or that place, the shop owner was a lady. She just refused her point blank, looking at her clothes or looking at her attire and things like that. She just said, no, I cannot give this to you, so just leave. Like she said, she didn't say leave exactly, but she said you cannot get it right away. So she made her on purpose wait for a very a time frame which she knew that this lady would not accept. But I was sitting somewhere nearby. I felt very bad. I did question the woman, why would you do this? Because it is a cheaper product and you have it too. What is the problem if you would have given it to her? She said, no, I don't want to give it to her, I don't have so much time, blah blah blah. She gave her own reasons. But I know we live in a world where people are judged based on their clothing, people are judged based on their money, and people are judged on all these materialistic factors. And Daksha Prajapati did the same. So Prajapati means emperor of earth. That is the actual meaning of Prajapati. So he had many daughters. That's what I'm going to discuss right now. This is basically a societal flaw. And Lord Shiva is the person who he's like ascended master. He's a master of many masters. He can create any amount of wealth. He can create any amount of money, any amount of wealth. He can also create palaces. He can do so many things. But he chose not to do so because he loved nature, because he loved animals, because he loved Mother Earth, because he enjoyed his solitude. He was a hermit, and he was just comfortable in his skin completely. But Daksh was not like that. Daksh, in order to get respected and honored, because see, there's a jealousy factor also. Shiva is worshipped by everyone, but not Daksha Prajapati. Daksha Prajapati is just the ruler of the earth. He was just the king. But Shiva is a divine being who is loved by every single person and of all age groups. People of all age groups love him. Shiva is so many people's Aradhya. I have seen young girls, 15, 16, 14, young girls who worship to him, who pray to him, who fast for him. All age groups also I have seen. Now there is also a story of how Shiva's marriage with Sati happens and what happens to the other sisters, but I will keep that particular part or that particular story for a different video, because that one is also a very interesting story. It is the part of the whole marriage ceremony, because see, only the ceremony, not marriage. What happens before that? The juicy stories, the juicy gossip, all of that is mentioned over there in the story, and I will share it, but I'll share it separately. Right now I want to come back to the Parvati love story. So by now we understand that this is all of that, this is what happened. Parvati was reincarnated. Okay, if you checked out the previous story, you can check out after 1 hour. I think after 1.5 hours is when I actually got into the proper narration. Before that, we were discussing other topics of the twin flame journey or the ascension journey. So by now we have established that point by point, I will mention the point. Sati falls in love with Shiva. Both of them fall in love with Shiva. Each other, not Shiva. They get married. Daksha is angry. He wants to take revenge. He creates a ceremony. Does not invite only Shiva and Sati. Invites everybody else. Humiliates Shiva in front of the whole world. Sati cannot take it. She burns herself, or she sort of jumps into the holy sacrificial fire. And finally, Shiva is in isolation. He's depressed. He's roaming around with the half-burnt corpse of Sati. But Vishnu comes to the rescue and he devises a plan. The body parts fall down into different places of India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, maybe Pakistan also. They fall. I'm not sure about Pakistan. I think we'll check it out later on, but all of these places are called Shakti Peet after that. And eventually all of this stops and Shiva forgives Daksha Prajapati eventually when he realizes that it's all over. Another thing that I read somewhere was that Shiva was Trikaldarshi, he could travel in time. So he sort of knew that Sati would be gone or Sati would leave him in this situation. But he was so detached that he continued to love her just the way he would love anyone. It is said that this is also there in the story, that he probably had an intuition, he probably knew about it, but he did not want to play around with time or what's written, what's predestined. So he was okay with it. But in my opinion, probably he did not know. Maybe he did not check, maybe he did not care about it, so he did not know. Cut to few years later, Brahma has a word with Shakti, and he says to Shakti that Shiva has been alone for a long time. Now it's time for you to go and meet him and be with him. So Shakti is reborn as Parvati. Basically, it is Sati reborn as Parvati. Okay, and as Parvati, everything is much better. What it was in Sati's time, this time it was much better, but Shiva this time was not convinced. He was not able to recognize her because he was like, this wife, my wife passed over and I miss her and I love her, but you're not my wife. He says that point blank to her, to Parvati. Okay, so my dear friends, Parvati has no other option. She feels compelled, she feels hurt also, because he uses those comparisons. In the sense, he says that you're also a princess. Previously I was married to a princess and look what my condition became after that. I ain't taking that risk again. Secondly, I'm not good enough for you. Again, you have so many people to look after you, you have so many people who serve you, so many people who cook for you, clean for you, wash your clothes. You wear like hundreds of different clothes. You have, I don't know how many, God knows how many shawls you have, how many dresses you have. I just have one or two. I don't even keep much. I live in this forest, I live in this nature. How is a girl who is a princess going to live with me? So at this point in time, even Shiva is not sure. Shiva is thinking, what's wrong with this girl? She's younger than me age wise, and she is a princess, and she's this, she's that. So he's not very keen about Parvati. And this is where the inner work phase kicks in, because Parvati does deepest inner work, and even because of the inner work, Shiva is so attracted to her, he cannot be without her. So he goes to her, they get married. This time the marriage ceremony is better, even though people are getting scared of his his lifestyle, or his snake, or the Nandi, the bull, because Shiva's pet is a bull. All the dangerous creatures are Shiva's pet. Dogs, like dogs are still not that dangerous, but as in his another avatar, or another form, he likes to be with the dogs. But personally, I feel that he likes to be with all animals. But Nandi, the bull, is his closest companion. Nandi is everywhere. If it is Nandi, he has to be everywhere. Okay. So finally, Parvati's penance is able to awaken Shiva, and he goes in search of her. He proposes to her. He says, last time, previously, I could not recognize you. And this is the reason why you guys, every single person who's going through separation, or the fear of separation, or what will people say, what will society say if I don't get married, or what if I get divorced, or what if I follow this career option, or what if I buy this, or whatever your what if questions are. It's time to heal that part. It's time to heal and rectify and cure that aspect of you which is putting you in so much doubt all the time. Okay. So in this life, Shiva and Parvati come together, but why I'm narrating this story to you all is because you need to understand that it wasn't so easy for them. The separation phase was very difficult. The lifespans were so long back then that you cannot do meditation for 10 days or 20 days or 30 days, or your lifestyle is created in such a way, everything is predestined and it is connected with your inner work, that we don't have so much time. So everybody has to focus on every single day as today I'm going to learn something, today I'm going to do something new. Give yourself adequate rest, because I would be making content from now onwards which also help you release body pain and some other issues also I will cover. So give yourself full recovery time, give yourself rest, give yourself good food, eat vegetarian, enjoy your life, live to the fullest, be in the present moment. Nothing major or nothing so worse can happen to anyone. From Shiva and Parvati's story, we learn that if someone rejects you, even if it is Shiva, you should be as strong as Parvati. You should not feel bad about it. You should not take it personally. As soon as Parvati developed her energy or developed herself, Shiva had no option but to recognize her and go to her. And back in those days, there was no Instagram, there was no Messenger, WhatsApp, this, that. If you want to talk to a person, you can only do them in person. That was the technology back then. And I think it's the best technology to have. So this aspect of the union of coming together is beautiful. But later on, it is found out again in many stories that Shiva used to prefer his own company. Like first, there was this whole phase of, inner work or meditation or penance, after which they got married. But after marriage, Shiva had many difficulties because, as I told you, he was a hermit. And Parvati was always very smitten by him point. She was sort of in those energies where she was extremely happy to be around him, or so she forgot that there was a phase of difficult inner work that also had to happen. So now when Shiva used to go away for meditation, for tapasya, Parvati would be left behind. She would be well taken care of. It's not like she's all alone and she's nobody to talk to. She used to have, but she knew that my husband has gone for tapasya, and because it is a good thing, she also didn't want to disturb. But there was still some element of attachment left in Parvati, according to how I saw the story from my point of view, which is why Shiva used to run away or go away. So now, just before Ganesha is born, I would also like to mention that Parvati also had her own biological child, which is Kumar, just like Sita had love. Okay, but when you reach that high level of divinity, sacred femininity, femininity is the correct word to say, sacred or divine feminine is the correct way to say it also. But when your energies merge and you become one singular energy, you have no idea how much power you have in your world, in your ecosystem. So Parvati channelized that energy, channelized that power, and created a son from clay called Ganesh. So, when a person is away from you, for example, you can think about it, or even you, say you had a fight with someone and it is a very genuine reason. You did not fight for your ego or for your pride. It was a very genuine reason why you fought. Maybe it was something to do with falsehood. Maybe it was something that was so major that you decided not to talk to that person for a while. But later on, they do inner work. They create or they inculcate or they just somehow reach to the point where they understand their mistake and they are apologetic. I'm telling you, it has happened so many times. Even before the person says sorry, they have met and they have patched up and they've discussed it out. So sometimes sorry is also very natural. Sorry is so spontaneous that you don't even have to say it. It reaches the right person in the right time, in the right mind timing. So, my dear friends, here also when Parvati does this, she becomes an ascended master immediately. And as soon as independently, individually, she produces a child, Shiva, who's in the Himalayas meditating, his penance or his tapasya is broken. He can smell from a distance that Parvati is detached. To live with another detached person, you also have to be fully detached. Otherwise, you two cannot be together. So, as soon as she's fully detached, Shiva's meditation is broken. He can no longer be alone. He comes rushing back home. And there must have been so many phases of him like this, and Parvati must have felt bad sometimes. She felt weak, like my husband doesn't love me. But looking at these goddesses, all of the goddesses, even though they had some challenge or some issue, they always come back to inner work. They always rely on inner work. Always. If they have a tussle within the family, they will go alone and be independent. So this is the magical trick actually. So he comes back and he sees Parvati is nowhere to be found. And he cannot even enter his own home because a boy, apparently a young boy, is standing over there. And he says, I am Parvati's daughter. Sorry, Parvati's son. So Shiva goes like, what? There is a son without my knowledge. There is a son without me being the father. How is that possible? So at first he's angry with the boy, and then other divine beings also collect, and all of them are fighting with this boy. And this little boy is so powerful because the mother is Parvati, so powerful that nothing and nobody can harm him. Nothing can do anything. So he also, it is said in the story, despite being a boy, he is also quite arrogant in certain places. Sorry, mosquito, you did not like this line or what? So this particular chapter tells us that in Indian stories or Puranas, they are not showing God to be perfect all the time, or perfect is the wrong word. You can say, somebody can say Shiva cut his son's head, or Shiva cut his father-in-law's head. Why? But if you listen to the whole story, it will make sense to you. So Ganesha, people did not even believe that he's a boy. They thought that he is not in the form. He's probably in the form of the boy, but he's something else. Or he's so arrogant. Why is he not letting Shiva enter the house? Even though Shiva is saying that it is my house, it is my wife's house, I have come to meet my wife and be with my wife, the boy is not letting him go inside because he's saying that my mother has made me stand here at the door and I will not let anyone enter. So there is definitely a lot of misunderstanding on both ends. And as soon as this episode happens, this situation happens, sorry, not episode, finally Parvati comes back and she sees what has happened. She's baffled. She's like, oh my God, that's the son I created. He's your son too. Then she explains everything to Shiva, that this is how I produced this child. I did it alone by myself, and I used the clay and I used my divinity. So obviously he's a divine child. He's simply doing what I asked him to do. He does not know you are his father. He's never seen you. So how would he know who you are? My child has to be revived as soon as possible, she says, right away. I don't care. So then Shiva, being an animal lover, says, okay, fine. He looks around for an elephant head. And again, some people were saying, why did Shiva do this to that elephant, that poor elephant? So I would like to tell you that the elephant was Gajaraj. And Shiva had already given him a boon that Shiva will give him moksha, ultimate salvation. So he said, put it on my son's body, and for you will get salvation, moksha forever. Okay. So it was not a bad thing. It was already a part of the boon that he had received, the elephant had received earlier. So that's why he was like the perfect one to give his head, offer his head to Shiva's son Ganesha. And later on, you can see in the pictures, Ganesha was this cute little boy, and he had an elephant head. He has an elephant head even now. So this is where I feel the story must have culminated, come to a certain conclusion, because I've sensed in my understanding that Parvati and Sita both became ultimately detached when they were able to create their own child without anybody's help. Kunti also did the same thing. Kunti and Mandavi, they had these boys. All the five children are not Kuntis actually. Two of them are Manvis. But it was Kunti who had taught her the technique, or it was Kunti who had helped her out to, you know, make children without getting pregnant, without having a womb situation. You reproduce children. Okay. So I think that is like a very powerful stage for a woman. She is already an ascended goddess. She can do anything, because this is the only thing no one can do. You can do anything, but you can't create life. You can't produce a child just just into thin air or air. Oh God, I'm fumbling a lot today, guys. I'm sorry. It's very late. Usually at this time I'm fast asleep, but I have to complete the story, so I'm not going anywhere. So yes, Parvati's son actually uh, tells all of us, yeah, out of thin air. Out of thin air, like they would just keep their hands like this. I'll show you. And the child would be in front of them, or it would land on their hand. So Kunti had 5 children like that, actually 6, including Karna. And Dhritarashtra and Gandhari had 100 children, but they came from the bottles, not like this. Parvati created Ganesha from clay. Sita created Kush from Kusha. Okay. So this is when a woman has reached her prime potential. She can do anything literally. Okay. But Shiva was attracted to her detached energy, but he did not know what exactly was going on. He did not know. So yes, eventually Ganesha gets an elephant head and everything is happy, go lucky, nice, and it's concluded. Okay, so this is the love story of Shiva and Parvati. There are other parts of it, as I said, but those I will narrate separately because it would be more enjoyable like that. I'm really, really thankful to all the people who are from the other countries who are actually here commenting, typing, writing. You guys are enjoying the story like anything, it seems. So I'm very, very glad. Thank you so much. Thank you. With joined hands, I am thankful to you guys because you are the people who are resonating with these stories from such a faraway land. Can anyone do that in the same in these years without any technology, especially a woman? See, Tanu, this is a question that we cannot answer right now because, as I said, this is a result of inner work. People are doing similar things, like they are reproducing children via surrogacy or via test tube babies. Maybe this is symbolism. I have elephant statues collection in my home. Wow. Always on time with confirmation. Okay, guys, so it was wonderful to talk to you all. Sunamoon, it reminds me of something. What does it remind you of? Please tell me. Symbolism. It is also symbolism, but back in those days, these things were very much possible because people were so confident that their intentions, they had very clear intentions. In today's world, what generally I have slack is their intentions are not clear, or even if they have intentions, they are not very confident about it. They are guilty about certain things. One day they are like, yes, I want this. Second day they say, I don't want this. So the clarity is not there, and that clarity only comes from solar plexus healing. If you heal your third chakra from the bottom, you can have so much confidence, you'll have so much ideas, you'll have a strong base, you'll have a strong foundation, and this solar plexus heals with the help of Ram's sound actually. But guilt is also one factor which distracts us and it takes us into a lower self-confidence mode. If you notice, there are a lot of bad people, a lot of stupid people, a lot of people who call themselves celebrities. They do strange activities and they do all stupid things, but their confidence level is very high because in their childhood, they were raised by men and women or adults who they kept telling them, oh my child, you're so beautiful, you're so wonderful, everybody loves you, everybody likes you. So they started attracting attracting those things, but these are all materialistic things. Please remember, all of it they attract is materialistic, and this is how they also change sometimes in their lives, because they are so bored and so unhappy and so lonely even after all of the praises they are getting, all of the money, all of the fame they get. At the end of the day, they're still unhappy. Whereas an ascensioner, an empath, is not maybe so materialistic, but they are very content and very happy. Like, they are also raised by materialistic people. They also have narcissism in their template in the healing areas, but they also have purity in them. They also have this support of masters and source. They've also lived a very special life as a child, despite all of the bad things happen to them. Some of really wonderful things also happen to them. Okay, so this is where I'm going to close the story, simply because I just need to walk around a bit, otherwise I'll just doze off like this while talking to you all. It's not that bad, but I do sense that I need to just walk around a bit because I have to stay up for some more time. It is 2:20. I have to stay up till 4:30. So if I keep talking to you guys sitting here in front of the warm heater, I may not be able to sustain it for so long. But it was wonderful talking to you guys. I'm very, very happy that you guys are taking so much interest in this story. And if you want to listen to it from the beginning till now and you've missed out something in the middle of it, then it is very easy. You guys can come back to the live session once it is uploaded fully. Now, guys, I want to say this: for personal situations and for readings and therapies, there is a slight change in the process because of certain experiences or certain things I observed. From now onwards, anybody who wants a personal session or anybody who wants a therapy, a dedicated therapy, you have to first write to me. You have to send me an email with your name, with your location, with your time of birth, and with your age. These are the 4 things you have to send me, and that, yes, I have checked the description box. So before you write to me the email, you need to be sure first. Today somebody had mailed me inquiring about a personal session, but she asked me almost 50 questions, this lady, this girl or this lady, because she's herself not sure about it. She wants a guarantee, 100% guarantee. In one of the other session, this girl said something very interesting. Another girl, she said, guarantee can be given only by 2 people. Either it's a fraud or it's God. Okay, so I'm neither the fraud, I'm neither the God, I'm just a person, just a medium. I cannot give 100% guarantee to every single person. You also have to work. Yes, it is divine timing also, due to which you guys have landed here and you guys feel like changing yourself and working on yourself, and you're looking for somebody who's working in a very niche profile. I think there are very few people like me on this planet right now who are making this type of content. It's not an easy job to do, but I'm very, very thankful to God, and I feel blessed that I'm doing this work, and I'm very, very happy to see so many of you over here. You exist, your existence matters a lot, so nobody should ask for guarantees like that. No one can give the guarantee. If you are not doing any work, for example, not you, say Tom, Dick and Harry, these are 3 people, they come to me and they don't do any inner work, they don't take any responsibility for their life and their well-being. They just lie down, they drink alcohol, eat non-veg, do drugs, do everything wrong, sleep with 100 people, and then they come to me and then say, hey, you are my therapist, you help me. First of all, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist who gives people pills. I'm a spiritualist therapist, which means I am coming from the spiritual side, and all of my cures are based on spiritual modalities, because it's very simple. All of my cures are based on spiritual modalities, because it is very simple. What is very simple? That we are all energy beings. Instead of changing things in the external reality, we should change things within ourselves, and we should not expect other people to change. We should change. And changing does not mean you become a vegetable that is being cut by other people. Changing actually means to learn discernment and to know when to take a strong action and when to ignore, when to speak, when not to speak, when to do, when not to do. So it has to be in a very balanced form. You have to be a balanced person who can figure out based on different situations and different context what action to take. And then it is not about good and bad. It is not about being like likable or lovable, because look at Shiva's life, look at Krishna's life, look at Rama's life. There are so many things that people would have said, oh, you should not have done this, it is wrong to do. Even they knew I should not have done this, but they know that doing this is more important and the most correct thing right now in this particular context and situation, based on our lifestyle, based on our duties, and based on what we stand for. Okay, so on this note, yes, I want to wrap up the information. So you please check the description box first. Please be 100% sure. Then you write an email to me that, hi, I'm so and so, and all the 4 things I said, and I'm looking for a session. And that is when I will check your energy if you are ready for the session or the therapy or not. So first filtration will happen from your side, because you might have also had some bad experiences, or you could have never tried it out, or maybe you keep trying it out but you want to now shift majorly, do major inner work. So even you need to be dedicated for this path. You cannot be half hearted about it. You have to be 100% into it. Only then it will work. Like, you have to put in your effort into your own healing also. Rest is what I will do, or I will be with you. Masters and source will be with you. I'm just a medium. Okay. So that is all I have to say. It is lovely talking to you all, sharing the story with you all. And thank you for all the messages on live chat, all of these. Yes, people should inquire about karmic account before asking for guarantee. Can't expect something from someone you can't give yourself. Starts with self. Okay, so Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Shri Ram, बोलो सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, बोलो हनुमान की जय, बम बम भोले, हर हर महादेव, हर हर महादेव, हर हर महादेव. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you soon in another one. One love, peace out, and Jai Shri Ram.